أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. How are you, my dear guys? I hope you are in good health and you are safe all the time, inshallah. I miss you so much, inshallah. Today we are going to complete unit 3, lesson 4, the lesson that we started last time. The lesson is titled The Social and Political Changes. Last time we talked about the political changes and the change that happens in the political maps when we add more borders for the maps, when we divide up the land differently. Today, we are going to talk about the social changes. How are we going to talk about this lesson? Before I start anything, the early people or the cave people, how did they live in the past? Did they have any homes? Of course not. Did they settle in one place? Of course not. They used to move around a lot, to gather plants and hunt animals for food. They never stayed in one place. But when about 12,000 years ago, people started to settle in one place when they learned how to grow crops or farm plants or crops. At that time, when they started to learn how to grow plants, they had to settle near their plants, and that's why they started to build homes and make changes for the environment. At the beginning, their life was so simple like that, and they lived in villages. When the villages grew bigger, they started to be towns. When the towns grew bigger and bigger, they started to be cities. So even life on earth has changed from the simple life in the villages to the modern and the complicated life in the city. So people started living in villages, then they started to live in towns or cities, big cities like this. How does this change happen? We are going to discuss this today. Let us start together. Okay. Page 94 in your student books. Yeah, let us start together. People move around. Oh my God. Does it mean that people never stay in one place in the world? Yes. You can see this from this map. Can you see how the people started to move around the world? People, or Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, started his life here in the Middle East. And when he started to have more and more children and sons and daughters, they started to move everywhere until we filled the whole world. Let us talk together about this. The Fertile Crescent, and of course you know the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East has had people living there and passing through 4,000 of years. Means that people lived in the Fertile Crescent and then started moving to other places. This map shows how people moved through this region. Look here. Can you see the movement? The movement started from here. That's the center. Started to spread more, and then move more, and then move more, and then move more, and then move more, until the people spread everywhere on the earth. But they started living in the Fertile Crescent or in the Middle East. When Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam with his wife Eve, when they came down from the sky, from the heavens, they settled here, and then they started to live and get more children, and the children, you know, the reproduction, they started move everywhere around the world. So this is another change. When people move from one place to another place in the world, this is another change. This is this map shows human migration over the centuries since before Christ, before thousands of years ago until today. Okay, what do we call the movement of people from place to place? You studied this in science. The movement of birds and animals, or even people from place to another. What do we call it? Migration. So, the movement of people from one place to another is called what? Migration. Again, so what is migration? What's migration? The movement of people from place to another. Again, what's migration? The movement of people from an area to another. This is the meaning of migration. Migration caused a great change for the whole world. When people migrated to a place, they started changing the environment in that place. Okay, there are many reasons why people migrate. So why do people migrate? They may move to find work or new opportunities. Okay, sometimes people have to leave their own country to escape war or natural disasters. If there's a war or a natural disaster or something that makes their country dangerous for their lives, they can migrate and leave it to another country or another place. They are called refugees, okay? The people who escape wars and conflicts and go to other countries are called refugees. May Allah help them and return peace to their countries for them to go back. Some people, like the Bedouin tribes in the Middle East, are nomadic. Okay, nomadic means the people who never stay in these are nomadic people, okay? These are nomadic people, the people who live in tents, a very simple life like this. These are nomadic people. This means that they do not settle permanently in one place. They move from one place to another. This is another reason why do people migrate. Sometimes they are nomad people. The nomad people never stay in one place. They keep moving to go to find maybe food and water, like the people here in this picture. So when people move from one place to another, when they started to change their style of life, what style of life is this picture does this picture show? It shows what? Rural life. Look here. What's the meaning of this? Having to do with the countryside and the land. The people who live a simple life in the villages, they live a rural life. Again, rural life, a simple life in the country. To grow plants, farm crops, keep animals. This is the rural life, the simple life. Life on earth started like this. And then change it to be urban life. What's the meaning of urban? Having to do with the city. City life. The city life is the urban life. So how life started on earth? Rural life. And then it changed it to be urban life. So when the development and the growth of cities, when cities grow more and people started to be more in the cities, when people started to stop living a rural life and start living an urban life, what do we call this? We call this urbanization. Again, what's urbanization again? Urbanization is the development and the growth of cities and built areas. When the cities started to grow, to be more, to be bigger, and people started to have more built areas instead of farmlands, we call this urbanization. Urbanization. Okay, how life on earth changed from rural life to urban life. Let us discuss this now. In ancient times, people moved from one place to another. Yes. In ancient times means in the very old times, people moved from one place to another in search of grazing land for their animals. They wanted to find good land that has a lot of grass for their animals. Small settlements developed where people would gather to trade and farm the land. This was known as the rural life. So the rural life was the life of the ancient people or the life of the old people. Life in the past was rural life. Almost all their activities depend on the land and the seasons. Farming crops, preparing the land to grow crops, and they depend on what they do with their hands. They grow all they need, they can build their own homes, they live a very simple life, they keep animals. This is the rural life. However, in the last 200 years of human history, oh my God, it means only 200 years ago, yes, cities have become bigger and bigger. So only 200 years ago, cities started to bigger and bigger. Are there reasons for this? Why did cities started to grow bigger only 200 years ago? You will see this now. Cities are heavily built up areas. The city, heavily built up areas. An area or a place that has a lot of buildings. No more farmland can be found in the city, where thousands of people live and work. People there live and work, but they do not farm animals or keep farm plants or crops or keep animals in the city. They do not this. The factors that have helped the growth of cities include. Factors means the reasons. Here I'm going to talk about the reasons that made cities grow more and how life changed from the rural simple life to the city urban life. The first one, The first reason, this is very important. These reasons are very important. The invention of electricity. When people started to know electricity and how to use electricity to power machines and have electric lamps, that was a great change that helped the cities to grow more. And electricity led to what? The invention of machines. When they started to have machines that could mass produce products for bigger groups of people to buy. The machines helped the people to produce more goods. Also, the growth of factories. The machines are kept in factories. People started to have a lot of machines kept in one place. It became called factories. This happened in the late 1900s. You remember the Industrial Revolution that we studied in the first lessons? Yes. Economies built on trade and business. People started to depend on trade and business to sell and buy goods that are produced in the factories by machines. That changed the style of life from rural life, in which they grew plants and kept animals, into the business life, into the trade life. Also, modern forms of transport, when people started to invent cars, buses, trucks, and airplanes. This caused a great change and caused the cities to grow more and make the people go and live in the city. Also, new technologies. What's the meaning of new technologies that you are having now that allow us to build places such as factories, airports, apartments, and skyscrapers? Of course, when the cities start to have all these attractions, people started to be attracted to the life in the city. They started to move from the village in great numbers in order to enjoy all these facilities in the city. So in this year, again, in that year, in the 1900s, only about 13% of people on earth lived in cities and towns. Oh my God. So in this year, only 13% of the people on this earth lived in cities. So the number of the people who lived in the cities in that year were very small, or less than the people who lived in the villages. The people who lived in the villages were more. But after this year, after the invention of electricity, machines, factories, after trading, business, and the invention of cars, buses, trucks, and airplanes, after all this, today, more than 52% of people on earth live in cities. Oh my God. So the cities now grew more? Yes. Started to have more people? Yes. So when the cities started to have more people means more buildings, more built areas, bigger cities. What do we call the growth of cities? What do we call the cities when they grow more like this? We call this urbanization. So what's the meaning of urbanization now? The development and the growth of cities. The development and the growth of cities and built areas. This is called urbanization. But I have a question now. Which is better? The simple life or the urban life? Or in another word, or another way, is urbanization good or bad? I will ask you now. Today, we are suffering from what? We are suffering from coronavirus. Coronavirus spread everywhere so quickly. Why? Because people can move easily from place to another. Could this happen in the past? No. In the past, there were no airplanes. There were no way to move quickly from one place to another. But today, we can do it. So, is urbanization good or bad? Some people think that it's good, but others think it's bad. Now, let us discuss how urbanization affects the environment, the effects of urbanization on our lives and on the environment. Can you see these 2 pages? Let us discuss how many impacts or effects of urbanization on Earth. Let us count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 effects. If you read them all, you will find all of them are bad effects. So when we started to have factories, can you see how pollution started? When we started to destroy land, the green land and the forests in order to build houses and roads and factories. Was this good for the environment? When we started to stop using the simple machines or the simple ways to transport or go from place to another and start to have vehicles and cars like this, can you see the smoke that they produce? So, urbanization was not good at all. Life in the past was much better, healthier, and purer than the life today. Let us read them quickly. The news headlines on these pages show you just a few of the problems we face because of urbanization and development. Okay, you can read them all, but actually all of them are very bad. We can pick up only 4 or 6 of them and study them well for any question, but we are going to discuss some of them. Rising sea levels threaten coastal cities and islands. Oh my God. So the sea level, the amount of water in the seas started to be more, and this threatens the cities that are located on the coast or the islands that are located in the middle of the sea or in the middle of the oceans. Yes, because of global warming, and we discussed this before. Also, rainforests could be gone in 50 years. Oh my God. You know that people are destroying the forests in order to use the land of the forest for building cities. This is a destructive action. Why? Because the rainforests produce oxygen for our earth. When we destroy the rainforests, it means that we destroy the source of oxygen for our earth, and this is very, very bad. Land clearing for crops and development destroys wildlife. When we destroy the rainforests, we do not only destroy the source of oxygen, we also destroy the wildlife. The animals and the birds and the plants that grow and live in the forest are endangered. Also, do you know this? This is a very, 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 very scaring fact. Every second, can you imagine? Every second, in a very short time, the world loses an area of rainforest the size of 2 football fields. Can you imagine this? In the 1 second, an area the size of 2 football fields from rainforests are destroyed. The trees are, we call this deforestation. Deforestation is so bad for our environment and even for the whole people on earth. Also, oil spill threatens wildlife. Of course, you know that when ships carry oil and cross the oceans from country to country, they do what for the oil? Some oil is what? Spilled. This is spilled threatens wildlife. Global warming gets faster. Global warming means that the world and the earth is getting warmer and hotter every year. Global warming gets faster, and global warming is very, very, very dangerous problem. These are only few problems that can be caused by urbanization for the environment and even for our lives. Oh, we can say also this one is so good. This one. Stress levels. What's the meaning of stress levels? People started to feel stressed all the time. That stress or that feeling of being stressed rising in overcrowded cities. Imagine that you are living in a very overcrowded cities where you can only see buildings, cars, smoke everywhere. And imagine your life in a village where you can see farmlands, green plants, where you can breathe or smell fresh air with no smoke, with no pollution. Which one is better? Whenever we want to relax, can we go to a very overcrowded city, or we go to a faraway countryside or even a coastal area? Yes, that's why people feel stressed most of the time in overcrowded cities. Also, there's a shortage of fresh water expected in 20 years. In 20 years from now, we expect that there will be a very big shortage of fresh water. You know, the fresh water, the water that we need to drink. Within 20 years, there will be a shortage in fresh water. The fresh water will not be enough for all the people. Also, this is another big problem. Carbon dioxide, of course, you know that. Carbon dioxide is so bad. We exhale carbon dioxide. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere rising each year. We need which one more? We need carbon dioxide more or oxygen more? We need oxygen for our life, but carbon dioxide started to be more. When carbon dioxide starts to be more, this will cause pollution. This will cause global warming. The earth will be hotter and hotter and hotter, and this will cause natural disasters to increase and be more. All these are bad effects for urbanization now. Do you still think that urbanization is good? I think you have understood the lesson. Try to read the lesson carefully again and do the homework on class era. If you have any question or any problem, I will be waiting for you in the discussion room as shown in your weekly plan. Thanks for your listening. Goodbye till we meet again.